Good morning, everybody. Matt Moda here to give you my favorite NBA player prop picks today. We are talking Monday, March 3rd. I'm going to have 4 NBA player prop picks for you guys to lock in for tonight's NBA betting slate, 3 of which are plus money bangers because, of course, that is how we do things here. Also, of course, before we can get into today's picks, we do have to do a recap from basically, I'm just going to recap the entire season. I didn't have a YouTube video yesterday, so it would be a recap. Today's numbers include yesterday and Saturday. Saturday was good. Saturday was bad. Sunday was good, which is kind of, it seems like how things go on days I don't have a YouTube video. It seems like my picks do much better, which is really frustrating because obviously I want these picks to do well. I do give them out both for free and to my Dub Club. So if you're not if you don't see them on YouTube, I give them out for free on Twitter, and then I send everything out early to my Dub Club, which is only $5 a month. So if you want my play sent to you early, check out the Dub Club. But on the entire season, we are up a little bit over 29 units after a really nice day yesterday. Hopefully we can continue that today. Again, we have 4 picks today, so I do feel comfortable saying that the splash zone is back in your life and that we're going to see who's going to splash around and get us wet. If you're not already, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the video, comment, all that good stuff. Let's get into it. So I have up here Props Madness, my favorite NBA betting tool. If you want to check out Props Madness, I have a link to them both in the description of the video as well as the pinned comment. So go ahead and check them out. So I don't have a play in this Blazers-Sixers game. Blazers, second half of a back-to-back. Sixers, complete abomination. Avoided that game. I do have an official play here in the Warriors versus Hornets. And I ended up going with Mark Williams, and I took him on the rebounds again. So you can actually get Mark Williams 12 plus rebounds, plus 115 odds at DraftKings. As of right now, Props Madness is listing the mainline odds on DraftKings, which is minus 130 for 10.5. Much would rather go 12 plus, 4 plus 115 odds, get the significantly better price for a play that I really like. So Mark Williams, 12 plus rebounds is the official bet here. So people that like betting off of hit rate are not going to like this play, and that's okay. He's only hit this in 10 of his last 24 games. He's only averaging 10.5 rebounds per game. But if you look at the entire season for Mark Williams, this graph, this line here, is showing you his minutes played. And we see that, like, at the beginning of the year, he was on a pretty significant minutes restriction. So it's really like from this moment here, he started playing roughly the amount of minutes that we're seeing him play normally. So it's been much better recently. And the most important thing here is the matchup. It's going up against the Golden State Warriors, where if you highlight over the matchup here, you see under opponent stats, you see rebounds allowed 20th. So that's not great. I mean, it's good. It's not great. But the one right below that, D rank versus position, defensive rank versus position. This is how the Warriors guard the center position, specifically for rebounds. We see that number 29. They've given up literally the second most rebounds to centers in the entire NBA. Now, this is giving you the stats on the entire season. Let's look at how he has done, how the Warriors have done in the last 30 days. So we go over to a couple stats here. Number one, hashtag basketball NBA defense versus position. We're just looking at exactly what it sounds like. How do defenses guard a position? We go to the center position. We filter by rebounds. Who is number one here? Golden State Warriors allow the most rebounds to centers over the last 30 days. Let's look at another source just to make sure that we are covering our bases. So we're looking at the center position, looking at the last 30 days. Rebounds, Warriors not quite as juicy. Instead of the most, it's the 6th most. Either way, still a good matchup for center rebound props. Over the last 30 days, it's either the 6th most or the most rebounds allowed to centers. And on the season, it's the 2nd most. And then Props Madness groups similar players together. As we can see, centers have been playing or rebounding very well against the Warriors. 9 of the last 15 have hit their rebound prop. That's a 60% hit rate. And it's 5 straight have gone over as well. Like, these athletic centers that can rebound have a lot of success against the Warriors. And look at one player who is bolded here. That would be one Mark Williams, who had 12 rebounds last time he played the Warriors. That's this game right here. They lost that game by 36. He only played 25 minutes. He still was able to get 12 rebounds on 18 rebound chances. So if we look at Mark Williams, we got to take out the games in which he barely played. Like, if we look at his last 10 games, we see his average minutes played here is over 29. It's 29.3. But one game in this stretch, he only played 21 minutes. Look at that. Lost by 53. So yeah, he's not going to play when they're down by 50 in the second quarter. So if we just take that one game out, we see that he averages over 30 minutes per game in his last 10 games. So he's playing a lot of minutes, right? That we can count on. So let's see how he has performed in which games in which he's played 20 minutes against teams that are in the bottom half of guarding center rebound props. This is exactly what we're looking at. We're looking at games in which he's played between 22 and 36 minutes, which is what we can rely on, and games that are just in the bottom half of guarding center rebound props. He's gone over 11.5 rebounds, so 12 plus. In 10 of 15 games, he averages 12.5 rebounds per game in this stretch. And you look at his rebound chances, he averages over 20 rebound chances per game in these games as well. And you see he missed it also in 3 of the last 4. So if we just look at the last 11 games, it's 9 of 11. And both unders happen to be against the Lakers. Every other game he went over. That includes a game against the Warriors where, again, he had 12 rebounds on 18 rebound chances. And I also like this as a little bit like, so he hit this in 3 straight, then he missed it in 3 straight, then he hit it in 2, then he missed it in 3. It's like been very hit or miss for Mark Williams. So it's not like we're fading recent results or anything, but it's also not like that he's just been completely skying over this limit that would kind of increase the odds in a dramatic way. So I really, really like this play for Mark Williams, 12 plus rebounds, plus 115 odds at DraftKings. That is play number 1. Play number 2 is in this Hawks versus Grizzlies game. And I went with Ja Morant, and I went with him on the assists. So you can actually get a better price than what I got. I got plus 105. You can now get plus 110. So the odds did move a little bit out of my favor, but I like it at my plus 105. I definitely like it at plus 110. So yeah, I would still take it there. This is another one of those plays that if you're just going off of the hit rate, it's not going to be that impressive. He's only hit this in 8 of his last 24 games. And he was on fire from an assist perspective at the beginning of the year, and obviously hasn't been able to capture that at all. This is another situation where we are playing on the matchup. He's going up against the Atlanta Hawks. So we hover over the matchup here. The Hawks have allowed the 6th most assists just in general, the 4th most assist to Ja's assist zone. That's what the DAZ means. It's the player the player assist zone, which we'll talk about. And then the D rank versus position, the amount of assists allowed specifically to the point guard position. We see the Hawks on the season allow the 5th most. So it's a good matchup in general for point guard assist props. Again, we want to look at the last 30 days. So we're just changing this to point guard. We're hovering over assists. We see that Atlanta, according to one source, is number 2. So over the last 30 days, they've allowed the 2nd most assists to point guards. We look at another source over here, not quite as good. They're down here at the 9th most. So depending where you look at, really good matchup versus good matchup. And then on the season, things are pretty good. 10 of the last 15 point guards have hit their assist over against the Atlanta Hawks. So that's always a good sign. And we look at this shot zone here, or this assist zone here. And this is kind of what I'm talking about. Ja, half of his assists, literally 50%, come in the restricted area. Another 22% comes from the above the break 3-pointer via like a catch and shoot opportunity, so a drive and kick. And the Hawks are the 6th worst defense at that. So over 70% of the assists on the floor for where they come from for Ja, the Hawks range from the 4th worst to the 6th worst. And you look at players that drive a lot, because those are the players that have a lot of success against the Hawks. It's players that drive to the rim and then kick out or dish it out under the basket. And Ja drives at, what's this, like the 6th highest rate in the entire NBA. He averages the 6th most drives in the NBA. So it makes sense why this would be a good matchup for Ja, because he drives a lot against a team that allows a lot of assists to guys that drive. Another thing that I like, we hover over this matchup. All the way at the bottom here, we see pace number 2. If we scroll all the way down, I wish I could like have like a laser pointer or something, but if you go all the way down, we see pace number 2. The Hawks play at the 2nd fastest pace in the NBA. You want to know who plays at the fastest pace? That would be your Memphis Grizzlies. So this game is going to be a track meet, and there's a lot of stats that show in the good matchups Ja Morant comes through. So if we're looking at teams that are just like in the bottom half of guarding his assist zone, which is the restricted area, it's over in 10 of 18 games, averaging 8 assists per game. That's good. We go to like the bottom 10, it's even better. It's 7 of 12, averaging 8.5 assists per game. And then we want to look at teams that play at a fast pace. So we're going to go all the way over to pace, if I could find it. We're going to go over to pace, wherever that is. Opponent pace, here we go. We're going to look at teams in the top 10 in terms of pace. Ja's gone over in 5 of 7 games. So, I mean, all this stuff kind of makes sense. Like in the better matchups, Ja gets more assists. That makes sense. And what I like is Only one of those games is at the beginning of the year, right? He had 14 assists against the Bucks. Every other game came from December on, with 3 games in February. One he just would have hooked, one just below the hook, and then one he would have cashed against a really tough matchup against the Cavaliers. So teams that run, Ja gets assists against. Teams that allow a lot of assists in the restricted area, Ja gets assists against. So it all kind of makes sense, adds up to a good matchup for Ja Morant. So that is our second play. Our third play, and I don't think a lot of people are going to like this one, but I'm okay with it. I went with Max Christie, and I went with him on the points. Now, so he got traded over to the Mavericks right here. He's played 12 games as a member of the Mavericks, and we see that he's gone over in 8 of 12. That looks good. We also see it's been very hit or miss for Max Christie. He went over in literally the first 8 games that he played as a member of the team. Now he's missed it in 4 straight. That's obviously brutal, and I bet him in 2 of these 4 misses. So I know very well how much he has struggled in his last 4 games. What I like, though, is if we just look at the last 4 games, he's still averaging 30 minutes per game. So, like, he's struggling. He's not shooting well. He's still on the floor for 30 minutes per game. And this one game against the Warriors, he only played 22 minutes. That was the only game that he played below 30 minutes. And they lost that game by 24. And that game was in the 30s. Like, they lost by 30, or excuse me, they were down by 30 in the second quarter of this game. So like nobody played heavy minutes in this game, but then 37 minutes, shot 4 of 13. It is what it is. If you're taking 13 shots, you should score 15 points. Another game, 34 minutes, 27 minutes. So actually, sorry, there's 2 games below 30, but still playing 27 in this one. And again, lost by 15. Going up against the Sacramento Kings, who allow the most points per game to the spot-up shooter, the 4th most points per game to the above-the-break three-pointer, which is where a lot of the points for Max Christie comes from, which is a good sign. We see 8 of 13 players similar to Max Christie have hit their point prop over. That's also a good sign. So the spot-up shooters perform well against the Kings. And if you look at Max Christie, we're going to go to play type, and we're going to go to spot-up, and we're just going to sort by total spot-up points per game. Max Christie is actually top 10 in terms of spot up points per game, right? We see maybe like 11 or 12. I don't want to go down and count. But we see that he's actually, since he's been a member of the Mavericks, which is what this is only counting as a member of the Mavericks, he's gone, he's averaging a pretty good amount in terms of spot up points per game. Another reason why I like this game, if we look at who's out, there's no PJ Washington. So if we look at games in which he's been a member of the Mavericks, which is starting here, without PJ Washington, it's over in 5 of 6, averaging just about 15 points per game. Now, obviously, he went over in the first 8 games. So, like, whatever stretch PJ Washington was there for, obviously he would have gone over. But it's only been 1 game without PJ Washington. Again, 3 for 8. Like, we're hoping for more than 8 shots, to be honest with you. We're hoping that he takes more than 8 shots. But it's a really good matchup. No PJ Washington. I love the fact that we get to fade recent results here. He's still playing relatively heavy minutes. He's still hit or miss in terms of getting shots up, but like, you know, a 1 of 5 gross. 4 of 13 gross shooting performance. We love 13 shots. 3 of 8 is okay. 2 of 6, we would expect better than that as well. So no PJ Washington. He's going to play more minutes. Hopefully going to shoot more. Hopefully going to shoot better. And in a plus matchup, I think he can get there for us. So that is our 3rd pick of the video. And then our 4th and final pick of the video. We're heading to this Pistons versus Jazz game. And I went with Ausar Thompson on the points. Now, I got this at minus 112 at FanDuel, over 11.5. It looks like it moved to minus 122. I would still take it at that price because if you go up a point, you're still not getting plus money. Like, if you can get over 12.5 for plus money, I would take that over the minus 122. But right now, that's not available. And some books have like minus 120 for over 12.5, which is a full point. Relatively similar odds. Yeah, I would obviously rather take the better point at that point. Now, Ausar Thompson is kind of similar to Mark Williams, where it's been the tale of 2 minutes. Like, as you can see at the beginning of the year, he was barely playing, he was barely scoring. And then it's been a change recently. Now, this obviously has a little bit to do with when Jaden Ivey started missing. Like, he missed some games. That's a little bit where Ausar Thompson started playing better, with Jaden Ivey averaging 23 minutes per game on the season, only averaging 21. Part of that was the fact that he came back from an injury at the beginning of the year as well. But he's been playing really well recently. Like, we look at his last, whatever this is, 18 games, gone over in 12 of 18. We look at his last, even go deeper than that, it's over in 10 of his last 13, averaging about 13 points per game. And it's not like, again, we're not exactly fading recent results, but we're not fading recent results either. Over in 2 straight, and then he missed it in 3 of 4. And then prior to that, he cashed it in like 8 straight games. So obviously he can go over multiple games in a row. And the reason why a couple of reasons why I like this play, the matchup is very good. The Utah Jazz, literally 30th out of 30 in terms of transition defense. So the worst transition defense in the entire NBA. They don't get back on defense. Guys that run the floor can have a lot of success against the Utah Jazz. And I like the fact they give up the 9th most points in the paint. If we look at TP allowed, points in the paint allowed, they're allowing the 9th most. That is where Ausar Thompson, like, look at this. Over 90% of his points come in the paint. Now, a lot come in the restricted area, which it doesn't seem like they give up much there, only the 5th fewest. But then after that is the paint, the non-restricted area of the paint, where they allow the 2nd most. And I mean, 15% isn't a lot, but it's pretty nebulous, these two areas. Like, it's not always that they're like incredibly staunch at guarding the restricted area and then players are unable to score there. It's not like they don't really have that good of rim protection. It's just about how they play defense. So basically saying I'm not scared off by the fact you see the 5th fewest, because I just like the fact that they allow the 9th most points in the paint. That's the most important thing to me, is points in the paint allowed. And there's no Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris is out for this game. Now, he's only missed 2 games this year. One of those games, Jaden Ivey played. So if you look at games without Tobias Harris, it's obviously hit or miss. One very good, 19 points. That's great. One very bad, 3 points. That's not great. Again, Jaden Ivey played in that game. So if it's games without Jaden Ivey and Tobias Harris, again, it's a 1 minute or 1 game sample size. So you can't make betting decisions off of 1 game. It's a good 1 game, 19 points, 27 minutes. That's pretty good. It's really just about Ausar Thompson playing well recently. We're getting a play that's well within his average, of course, what he's scoring in the last month. And we get the added benefit of a player being out. So Tobias Harris being out, going to be more shots, more minutes for all these guys, Ausar Thompson included. So I'm not saying that he's going to go off for 15 plus. I'm not laddering this to 15 plus. I'm not pumping it up to 15 plus. I'm just taking the 11.5 or the 12.5. But it's a really good play for Ausar Thompson in a really good matchup. And that's all we got. 4 official bangers for you guys to lock in. Real quick, I'll do a recap for you guys. It's Ausar Thompson, who I just talked about, over 11.5 points. It's Ja Morant, over 7.5 assists. It's Mark Williams, 12 plus rebounds. It's Max Christie, 15 plus points. 4 bangers for you guys. Great day yesterday. Let's hope we can continue that today. Remember to like the video, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check out the links in the description of the video. It's a link to Props Madness, which I talked about. Obviously, you know how I use Props Madness. It's a link to my Dub Club, where I mentioned I send all my bets out for $5 a month. So if you're interested in getting the plays early, like when I say, oh, this is what I got it at, I'm referring to the Dub Club. It's the same plays that I give out for free. You just get them early. So if you want them early, or you don't want to watch the YouTube videos, totally fine. Dub Club is for you. If you're not interested in that, also totally fine. You can get them for free on YouTube and on Twitter. But that's all we got. I appreciate everybody for watching, and have a good one.